Hello and welcome to TNIE Hyderabad Dialogues. Today we are here with actor Ravindar Vijay, who is known for his roles in movies like Kida Kola, Family Man, and other movies in Kannada and other languages.
Hi.
Firstly, I want you to take us through your journey in the films. How did it all start off?
How did it all start off?
Yes.
There is no grand story,
Okay.
but it was uh, it was a hobby that took over at some point.
Okay.
While I used to do theater back in college, which was also a very accidental thing. I was reading a newspaper, probably your competitor newspaper, and there was an ad in it in which it said that actors are required, no experience is mandated, and they'll be remunerated suitably. So that remunerated suitably struck a chord, and I started doing theater for pocket money and money, and that's how it began because I had no exposure to arts or any art forms, rather, apart from the 2.5 music classes that I went to when I was 4 years old and then ran away. Uh, so then started doing theater, then got to know that there is something like this where people seem to be cool and relaxed and not it was an escape from academics and the routines, and it kind of opened an alternate worldview. Slowly, different kind of people there's this typical depiction of people in Fab India kurta and artist types. It was more than that. It was way more than that. And then passed out of college, practiced briefly, and then at one point the theater bug bit so bad that I said, okay, let me give this a shot. So after about a year and a half of practice, I said, okay, let's give it a shot. It was a very easy decision in my head, but a lot of people around me found it suicidal or outright stupid. And then theater happened. I was working with this group called Rafiki. That's the group that I started with, and slowly continued working with them after college. Was with them for about 3-4 years. Then moved to Chennai, looking for film opportunities, while simultaneously was continuing to work in theater. There is this group called Perch Performers in Chennai, and been working with them for a while. And then post pandemic, when the nation shut down, that was the last show that I did, Feb 2020. And after that, cinema took over.
So, sir, most of your roles they are towards the negative side. If you watched your movies, so is it that
I try not to.
you always wanted to do that? I mean, what is your kind of genre?
See, I'd like to explore all kinds of genres. Playing the baddie keeps you there for the longest time. Of course, I dabbled with lead roles. There was one particular movie, but that also had it had a villainical trait in it. One Tamil movie called Ravindar. This is what comes my way. Of course, I'd like to explore comedy, action, some light-hearted stuff, which slowly is beginning right now. I try and choose what character is interesting. Does it have layers? Does it offer some scope to play around? That's what I try and see in it.
In answer to her first question about your Arangetram, about your entry into films, you sounded it like you sounded as if it's very easy.
Hey, it wasn't easy, and it wasn't as grand as an Arangetram.
And you were a doctor. And you were a doctor.
Yeah.
I mean, the transition is like,
it was easy in my head.
There is a lot of uncertainty. I mean, I see so many people trying to get into films. A lot of uncertainty about the future, about the chances that you might get, might not get. But you sounded it very cool and easy. I mean, how did it go on? How did you get your first chance?
How did I get my first chance?
And what about your parents? I mean, you are leaving behind a very lucrative profession. You said it pays well,
Yeah.
this kind of thing.
How did the first chance happen? I think some friend recommended me for a movie, and that's how the first film clicked. It was a Tamil movie. It had an ensemble cast, and it was shot over 3 years. It was a movie called Odu Raja Odu. A friend was offered a role, and he didn't want to do it, so he passed it on to me, and that's how the first thing happened. And the producer of that movie went on to make his second movie was called Rocketry, which is like poles apart in terms of budgets, filmmaking, and that's how that happened. It was a sheer accident, and that's when I decided, okay, I'll move to Chennai and start exploring film opportunities. How was it? The transition, as I said, was easy in my head, but grappling with the realities of it. I thought I'd work for 2 months and I'll have enough money. I worked on oil rigs and ships as a doctor because that was the highest paying job that I saw. So one day I landed up in Bombay. I had no clue about seafaring uh, or how big or immense a ship is or what an oil rig looks like. Landed there and took a hotel room, kept looking, and then finally found some agency, ship manning agency, which said, okay, we'll onboard you, be ready. And I waited. 1 week later, I know money was running out, and I got a call saying, "Ha, Dr. Saab, ready." What do you mean ready? Yeah, this evening you're going. So I just packed, and first time I enter the port gates, and there's a massive ship standing there, and go in there, and this was a ship that takes us to the rig. And what in Bombay High, which is off the course of the shore of Bombay, and what was supposed to be typically a 36-hour journey ended up being 5 days on the ship because of rough weather and seasickness and vomiting and eating khichdi and pickle for about 4 days. Then I earned money and I'm like, okay, first salary hit, once paycheck, the the high of a paycheck once it comes, as fast as it came, it went even faster than that. So what was 2 months became a year and a half. Then I said, okay, enough is enough. Time to pack up and go. There was a lot of friction at home. Convincing them wasn't easy. A lot of lies were told. A lot of bargaining was done. It's like what they call that pizza slice maneuver, no? You buy an inch, then two, then more and more and more and more. You test their patience to the extent they're like, okay, do whatever you want, types. And that's where they are right now.
You mentioned in an interview that you would just call people who you know, like who are making films or are into the industry, and just ask if there is any work.
Yeah, those days involved a lot of calls. Just wake up and keep calling. Sometimes fruitful, sometimes productive, sometimes completely unproductive. And after a while, people are not going to answer your calls. And on hindsight, it looked like a very uncertain period, but I enjoyed being there and doing that because what was giving me a sense of balance was theatre and a sense of community, and to an extent, taking care of my needs. So that was a constant, whereas this was the uncertain cloud that kept moving, kept passing. You never know when an opportunity is going to come, what is going to happen. So fun days. I'm not saying that like I had to struggle for a meal, or sometimes I struggled to pay rent, but then there were always friends and family. Sometimes loans, sometimes handouts. That was always there.
You said you enjoyed doing theatre, during that time, which sort of helped you deal with the uncertainty. But approaching theatre and approaching a film role can be very different. So, I mean, is it different? I think that's the.
See, in a sense, it is different. In a sense, it has commonalities. Theatre. When you're rehearsing with each other for a period of say a week, 2 weeks, sometimes 4 weeks. You're day in and day out, you're looking at each other's faces, you fight, you laugh, you cry, you cook together, you eat together, get drunk together, then wake up. All of these things happen. So, and it more or less operates on a level field. It's very horizontal that way, whereas cinema isn't. It is very hierarchical. It is very structured, and a lot of things depends on your pay grade.
Right.
Whereas here, whatever we made, we split equally, no matter how big or small a role it was.
Okay.
There is a chance here to you're building that role over every day, over every rehearsal.
Right.
Sometimes you're exploring new things in a show. Sometimes after a bunch of shows, you like, director gets bored, you get bored, and you're like, okay, let's rehash some things around. Let's turn them upside down. So all of these things happens. And there is a sense of linearity there in terms of storytelling or in terms of performance. You go from point A to point Z in about an hour and a half, hour, or whatever the duration of the plays. Whereas cinema is very time dependent, and every minute counts. And sometimes you're starting from the last scene, or sometimes you're starting right in the middle, and you let go of it, and then 3 months later come back and finish that scene. So this kind of crossword puzzle
Right.
is constantly on. So to retain that memory, to maintain one's body to look the same way, which is like the basic minimum requirement, and to catch up from where you left. Of course, there are enough aids and people around uh, to model it the way they want it. Whereas this is a very directorial medium.
Right.
Theatre, I would say, is still an actor primary medium.
Right. So, I mean, with films as well, right? You said that the structure can be more hierarchical, and you've acted in the Tamil film industry, which is Kollywood. You've, and also with Telugu films. So, how are these industries different? Have you noticed?
Both
any
are
differences?
hierarchical.
Both are high, but otherwise also. I mean, any
It is a highly
differences?
incentivized, it's a business.
Yeah.
Any business is hierarchical. It is highly structured. I would even say some places feudal. That's a completely different topic that we can go into. And how is it different? Difference is in the approach towards stories, the kind of stories.
Right.
And Telugu, you do find more massy movies compared to Tamil.
Okay.
I mean, which is pretty evident. I mean, which everyone could observe, I suppose. There are some literary source based movies are slightly more in Tamil. And in terms of variety also, there is slightly more. Here it is opening up. Telugu, it is opening up. In terms of an alternative cinema or what you would say art house cinema, that genre kind of does not exist, but every now and then you see a ray of hope. Every now and then you see an independent cinema being supported by what is the so-called mainstream cinema audience. And Telugu audience is way more supportive towards cinema compared to, say, other audiences.
So, how do you prepare for your character? What is your process like?
For instance, for a character like that he played in Kirakola,
I mean,
there's a villainous element to it, and
Huh.
there's a comic element to it.
So it's there in the writing. The director has spent months and years on writing it. So once you read it, and once you see how other people approach this character, like other characters, how do they respond to this character, it gives you a sense of who or what this person is. In terms of, if I have to itemize it, to find a walk, and once the costumes are set, one half of the job is done, because a costume costume shows where that person is from, what class of the society, maybe sometimes what religion, occupation, and sometimes the costume decides how much you can stretch your arms, how easily can you move, or how tight it is. Those things add on to it, and after that, yes, it's there in the lines. You sometimes see a mental image of what this person is, how this person would speak, and try and recreate it. And if people like it, they like it.
Do you also add like some if you, after reading the script, if you feel like this should be added, so do you add that to the personality, like a personal touch or something which makes it more
No,
memorable?
it's in discussion with the team, with the director, with the cinematographer. I mean, if some idea strikes, I don't hesitate in sharing it. If it's struck down, it's struck down, because at the end of the day, the director knows the bigger picture. I am but a small wheel in this entire machinery, and to accept that you're one of the players there, because I can't start pulling it in a different zone just because I feel it, or I'm feeling very artistic today types. That can't happen. It is about structured artistry. It is about following within that framework that is provided. You try and do as much as you can. Sometimes you try to expand the structure, and the structure will snap back right at you. So that also happens.
I have a follow-up question to her as well. You've done a lot of villain roles, right? And some actors have sort of confessed that when they do villainous roles, it actually affects their minds. How do you cope with doing such roles? Does it affect you?
I'm not that kind of an actor.
Okay. Okay.
I would still say I'm still on the superficial level.
Okay.
The thing is, while playing a role, sometimes you tend to say and do things which you would never do in your normal life.
Right.
Uh, from things like small lies to mocking another person, up to things like rape, murder, and molestation, which the entire what do you say? The entire spectrum of crimes, from immoral to illegal. Does it affect me? I mean, this thing is there in all of us. At any point, we can cross the threshold and turn into an immoral or an moral person or a felon. We're all just one act away. Even the most sanest, so-called normal people are capable of that. And that's how crimes are committed. To see that there is madness in all of us, and then there is sanity in all of us. And then to tap into one stream or one thread there. And to make sure you drop the thread the moment cut happens. Because I've heard of friends who, not just negative roles, even any role that they play, they go so deep into the preparation, sometimes they lose track of themselves. And it's also a personality thing, I feel, where you want to let go and you want to turn into something else. For instance, possession, when it happens, ritual possession or oracles, it is always a structured thing. There is a community there that drums up the excitement. There is music, there are incantations, there are shouts, there are ululation. All these things take you up to a point where you're considered divine, and then you're filled with so much energy. And maybe yesterday they might have just abused you, but today you're considered as God or the voice of God. And then the community helps you, bring you back into reality. It's not like once the oracle has reached the peak that they all, okay, thank you for the message, and they all walk away. No. So this happens in every community. But sometimes cinema, what happens when the word cut happens, people go on to the next scene. Very few people are sensitive enough to handle the actors, bring them back. And this happens in theater or music as well. When you go into a heightened state of frenzy, you need a community or a framework to gently bring you back to where you began. Sometimes that doesn't happen. And that's what I meant initially when I spoke about theater and a sense of community. That is, not that it's perfect, but it is there.
So you like theater more than cinema?
No. I like both. I mean, I like performing. Theater, it's then and there. It's live. The
And it's more difficult.
both are difficult.
Here you have the luxury of taking more number of shots.
But there also you have the luxury of rehearsals. But you have to go at one go.
Has there been any character so far in your career, like where it was difficult to get into the cycle? Like you're talking about, like, grasping a character.
Every character, every day. I mean, every day, every scene is a struggle. Am I doing it right? Is this right? Self-doubt is definitely there. If at any point I say, oh, this is right, this is enough, and that's the end of it. Which means there is no more scope to explore, grow, or discover. So every day, every scene is like, there's always a sense of, is this it? Or can there be more?
So, talking about the characters and roles, do you have any particular character you want to play in future, sir? Like inspired by any other character and you want to play?
No. I mean, want to try comedy, maybe some biopic, because my way of working has been little impulsive, like improvisatory. Like to see how a biopic could change that, where a biopic of a living or a dead person, where you will have to mold yourself into another person completely, for whom sources are there. Whatever kind of
Any
source.
person in your mind, sir? Biopic? Anyone that inspired you?
Nothing that-
Or any biopic that you want to?
Nothing in particular.
Any person you like? Maybe someone, sir.
Your biggest inspiration.
Yes.
No, a lot of people have told there is this Tamil comedic actor of yesteryears called M.R. Radha. And I mean, if with my hair ruffled and like, it could kind of look like him. He's as a person, as a personality, and as an actor, is very unpredictable, and with impeccable comedic timing and satire that he's capable of. Do read up about him if anyone has not heard of him. That is an interesting character to play. It's also because a lot of people have also told me that.
Since you like comedy and you're very interested in that, are there any actors in the Telugu film industry that you look up to,
Oh, a lot of
comedically?
them. Lot of them.
Could you name them?
I mean, where do I start? Where do I end? List is long, from Kota Srinivas Garu, who just passed away, to Rangarao Garu, to Brahmanandam Garu, to right now friends say Rahul Ramkrishna or Priyadarshi, Venil Kishore, Suhas. I mean, each one have their own flavor, and there are a lot of people.
So you mentioned that the acting bug bit you mostly in college and when the theater period started. But before that, like, what was your equation with movies? Like, were you a very avid movie watcher? Not at all.
I mean, occasionally, yes. The Sunday afternoon ABCD, Doordarshan, the alphabetically, what is it, where language were listed alphabetical order and used to have those movies.
Right.
So by now you know what era I'm from. That was like the first movie watching experience. Like randomly sit and try and read the subtitles and watch in some random language. You don't even know which language it is. To occasional theater going, but not a very avid movie watcher.
But you must have been a very diligent student.
I think that's where all the attention. Huh?
Getting into medicine is not as easy. And the way you choose the script, how do you do it? And recently I saw this movie Arambham. I mean, your story was like the narrator reading the diary, and
How do I choose? Is the
do you
role?
have any particular preferences? I mean, there are there are mass masala movies. I mean, mainstream kind of regular movies, and there are offbeat movies. Doing a role like the one you did in Arambham, I mean, or say for instance Kira Pola, how do you choose?
Is the role interesting enough? Am I trying something new? Am I trying to explore a different dimension that I have not touched upon till now? Number one. How's the story overall? Is the story interesting, exciting enough? And the team. Sometimes you do a movie or a project for the team. You like working with them. That counts. Of course, there is the consideration of money. This is kind of things that I look into. And this was a young team, and this was based on a Kannada novel, and a very compact crew. And they sounded very interesting. We're currently working on their second movie right now. Fingers crossed.
What is it
Filmmaking
about?
is. Huh?
What is it about?
It's an action drama. It's called Samavarti.
Samavat. You have worked in different industries also. You are in Family Man, you are in Kannada industry, you are in Tamil, you are in Telugu. Different genres, different languages.
Slightly schizo.
Which one do you prefer? I mean,
Each one has its own flavor. I'm not going to. I mean, I'm not trying to be diplomatic about it, but each one has its own unique flavor and style. Kannada, I've only done one movie, which is yet to come out. But it's mostly been Telugu followed by Tamil, occasional foray into Hindi. The Hindi, I've said before, Hindi industry there's a kind of far better structure, and level of organization is bigger. Whereas here, things are more nimble and respond faster. And making changes are also are easier here. There, it more or less goes through the entire chain of people and then has to come back. Unless, of course, like in some cases where the director has complete creative control.
So, like your film work started around 2016, where you did a couple of roles. And do you see any particular project or film as a turning point where you felt like, okay, like
No, Family Man was one. I mean, when we were shooting it, we didn't know it was going to be this big, because midway between season 2 shoot is when the season 1 dropped, and then it became a phenomenon there. And around the same time, this Telugu movie called Uma Maheshwara Ugra Rupasya released, and this kind of paved my way into Telugu. And Uma Maheshwara opened up a lot of doors. And the next project which I did with them was Praveena Parsuri garu's Kottapalli Lokap, which released last week. So, yeah, these were, I would say, kind of landmark.
So I think Family Man happened in 2019. I think the first season dropped then. So between 16 to
season 1 dropped. Yeah, 2019.
19, yeah, I thought. So between 16 to 19, like
phone calls. And there were a few Tamil movies that I did. Interesting, but this I would say was a kind of a turning point. And I'm still facing the after effects of Family Man season 2. Yeah, the cop roles and
exactly. So coming to that, like there have been multiple cop roles, although each differ from like the other in some little way, but there has been that flow of
And that I chose a few
yeah.
that were offered to me, for reasons that I found it interesting. And even those were fun. Like, for instance, the series called Brinda on Sony, that offered a more human perspective into that character, Sarthi. It was more than just a cop. And this series called Dhuta, it was outright fun. Working with the team, the director, and just to do the maniacal things that this person does. And like both were cops, but the opposite ends of the spectrum. One was like very empathetic, human, and the other one was into a very beastly, non-empath, beastly zone.
You mentioned in some interview that you were offered like 65 or some
Yeah, it keeps happening. The count only goes up.
So has
Is there any reason that you've rejected, police
No,
roles?
it's to avoid stereotyping and to avoid boredom for myself.
Okay.
Do you want to get into direction at any point?
That is that involves a lot of talent and hard work, which I don't know if I'm capable of.
So we'll move on to a lighter note.
Huh.
Just wanted to understand, when you're not shooting,
What do I do?
yeah,
See, for instance, there will be some dubbings or some story narrations, readings. I try and go home. Mum lives in Bangalore, so I try and do that. Cook.
okay, that's interesting.
Just have some parties at home, hang out with friends, try and listen to music. Much
Do
that.
you read?
Reading has come down off late, which is an issue. I'm trying to get back, and attention spans are dropping. Number of pages are also reducing. It is all tied into one
But
cycle.
since you are a doctor,
Uh,
don't you think you would be more comfortable playing the role of a doctor?
not necessarily.
Not necessarily.
It's just maybe I might know the
Passion for that.
I might know the technicalities of it slightly more, but it is still it is touching the emotional core of a person at the end of the day. Profession immaterial.
And I thought you might have some passion in it.
No,
You
no,
might
no.
have had. I mean, to get into medicine, you might have had.
I mean, yeah, of course, that is there. I mean, it's not like that I dislike medicine and that's why I quit. It's just that some other new avenue opened and it sounded fun.
So, you travel a lot? Is that
For work, yes.
Yes. Otherwise,
For leisure, I try, but like date uncertainties and trying to. I would say from 2016 to now, uncertainties are still there. I know things are certain when I'm the master of my own time. I'm not yet there. Or maybe I haven't made up my mind.
what's the reason?
It's about choices, right? It's about, do I choose to take this up or do I choose to just do nothing with my time? The greatest luxury right now is you having mastery over your time and your health and access to good clean air, water, food, which is the most difficult thing right now. Everyone is striving for that piece of farmland at the end of the city, which one day the city is going to swallow up.
So isn't that hard to find an opportunity in the industry right now, considering the evolving mediums we have, Reels, YouTube, etc., etc. We have all sorts of mediums now. Is it still that?
See, for instance, to get in and sustain in commercial cinema is a difficult thing. You have to be relevant, and your relevance is questioned every day. At least that's how it is in my head. People might say, "Yeah, you have now settled into the industry. Things are going to be constant." But when a state of constant hits, it's a kind of a plateauing could also happen. The attempt that I have in my head is to prevent that plateau, because then it gets into routine, and routine might get into boredom. Routine is also good. I'm not saying routine equals boredom. To have a constant creative challenge and to not let your guard down, that is the attempt. Because if that happens, then it becomes a chore. It becomes a mundane thing that you wake up, go, put on grease paint, and do a thing, and then come back. To feel that excitement when you're performing every day, to that sense of uncertainty would be there, that sense of fear before uttering the first line, which always happened when before getting on stage. The 10 seconds before and the minute after you get on stage is like there has to be that nervous energy.
How was it like when you first faced the camera?
I didn't know where to look. It's like a very practical thing.
But were you nervous when first time
Yeah,
facing the
yeah.
camera?
I mean, every day I'm singing.
No?
That level of nervousness could have come down, but that's what I'm saying. Before every scene, even like yesterday, there is a sense of tentativeness. Am I doing it right? And just to adapt to that medium, like for instance, when I'm talking to a group of 8, 9 people, I'll address it like this. If I'm talking to a group of 200, 300 people, I'm going to project more and be more expansive with my gestures and or with my facial expressions. And now here it is a medium of just one person, the camera. It's a very intimate medium, and to play to that medium.
But you have to shut yourself off from the people around. There will be a lot of number of people.
That is the most difficult task on a film set. Silence. It's a very precious commodity. I mean, that only happens when you're shooting sync sound, which very few people do. The silence is a very to be to shut yourself off from noise, and yet be aware of what's happening around you. Because if it's a completely indrawn thing, which is sometimes required, it can't be that constantly, because I can't play my own tune. I am but part of a choir there. To be aware of that.
But you look very comfortable on screen, obviously.
I'm sure there's a lot of things going on inside, but the exterior can be a calm facade. But
You were into theatre, and from theatre you can. When you first got into theatre, there must have been a lot of influences on you. I mean, it could be a stage actor, a local actor, or somebody you read about. I mean, who was your? Who were the big influences on you?
like my first exposure to theatre, this group called Rafiki, there were these actors, Anish Victor, Sachin Gurjale, who I later became my colleagues, and they were a big influence. And then I've seen other actors, like there's this film actor called Anand Sami, film theatre. He's there in Family Man and a lot of other movies. I mean, I've seen them up close. Another actor called Ishwar Shri Kumar. Each one brought in their own style. One was very improvisatory, one was very structured and disciplined, and whatever worked for them. And at the end of the day, when you watch them on stage, you were left with a wow feeling. And then there were a lot of traveling groups from abroad. In India, there is this theatre writer, director, and an art philanthropist called Anmol Velani. There's an organization called India Foundation for the Arts. I saw him work up close. There's another theatre performer called Shankar Venkateshwaran. They deal with this Japanese form called Noh, which is a very slow, fluid kind of performative medium. There was a professor in Pondicherry University. There is a professor in Pondicherry University called Ravi Verma. A lot of people are there. I mean, I picked up little things.
Do you ever want to go to a drama school?
I thought about it. Well, then write one exam, go face auditions, then go through.
Some of the greatest actors came from drama schools, especially in Hindi. If you see Nazruddin Shah, all of them came from different.
I mean, I got lucky, I suppose, that I started doing theatre and got paid for it also. I've thought about it, but I've done courses, like brief courses, but like say a week-long, 10-day kind of a thing, but never into a structured teaching program. I've fancied doing that, but then dropped the idea.
Could you share some of your most memorable moments and what you consider as turning points in your career so far?
Memorable, like film.
Film and theatre, I mean,
Theatre, let's say point of joining and that opening up my political views, my outlook. So again, this group Rafiki, I don't know how much of it you want to put out. The work.
Uncensored.
Okay. The work involved this theatre style called foruming. Forum theatre is a kind of conflict resolution is used for that. It's one Brazilian or Argentinian theatre person kind of formed it. Where you start a play, it is to deal with an issue, a real issue in a community. You make a play out of it, and the play comes to a standstill at a point. An unresolved conflict is there. Now, audience is invited to come and offer suggestions. What would you do to resolve this? Once they offer those suggestions, we invite them to play that protagonist. Just don't talk. Now, get into the shoes of the protagonist. Now, what will you do? Because sitting on the outlines, sitting on the sidelines, it will be easy to offer easy solutioning. But once you get into the shoes of that person, face their lived reality, then you offer what can you do. This was done in the aftermath of the Gujarat riots, where this play was about 3 plays for middle, primary and high school children, where we used to go into schools. How do I deal with differences? How do I deal with a problem? Do I other the problem? Do I other the person? Do I want to do away with the person? Or can there be dialogues? Can I speak? Can we sort it out? So depending on their age group, somewhere there is allegorical tale set in a forest with creatures, where one bunch of creatures one day decide, no, we don't want you anymore in our forest, please go away. And then what happens to that ecosystem? When an ecosystem, someone is displaced, there is an imbalance in the system. Something starts going wrong. There is decay. And then now these creatures say, okay, you come back because the system is collapsing. They say, no, we don't want to come back. Now there is a negotiation. So how do I negotiate with someone who's unlike me? And this was a kind of initiative that I started off with. It was not like I go there, perform for laughs, or it wasn't that kind of play. So this went on for a couple of years. So this kind of opened up my worldview also.
It's very thought-provoking.
Whereas this was for primary school children, for high school and young college people, it was a real life situation. Someone falls in love with someone else, belongs to a different community. Parents oppose. What do I do? Do I elope? Do I drop the idea, or do I negotiate? So that was a turning point, I would say, in terms of opening up thinking and meeting different kind of people who were not just from academia, but from people who worked in the social sector to educationists to artists and regular people on an everyday basis. Then this group Perch in Chennai, which is a collective of artists, which is a highly visual narrative in storytelling, on stage using like everyday objects to make people, and also where the actor needs to be light and nimble and responsive. A lot of singing, dancing. That was fun. Family Man was a learning that way.
What's your take on Manoj Bajpayee?
How can I have a take on
You must have seen him.
brilliant performer
As an actor.
as an actor, of course, and great fun to be around with. Has a great sense of humor, and there's a sense of unpredictability about him, which is challenging for a co-actor. Challenging in the sense in a good way, because you don't settle into one zone. You're like they're willing to play. It's like playing catch. You never know when the ball is going to come. So that was and fun to see him improvise, explore in person, and he has a lot of stories to tell. So that was also fun.
So, out of all the characters that you've played till date, what is one of your personal favorites from all the characters you've done, and why?
Kita was fun. It was outright mad. It was very unlike me, and to wear those bright costumes and mouth those lines, and such a fun set to be in. There is this movie called Mangalavaram, and that was complete opposite contrast to this movie, where it had to be very sedate, very cunning, and eyes give away nothing, and a lot of makeup, a lot of latex and hair whitening, and shooting in Rajahmundry in 50 degrees. That was challenging in a different manner. There is an upcoming movie. I mean, once they announce it, then I can say more about it. It's a period movie, Tamil. That is fun. There is this series also in Tamil upcoming for Sony. That is looking good. The character explores a lot of areas, untouched areas in our psyche. It's called T Vinay Portrait. That is fun. Currently, we are shooting one, Samavarti, which I had mentioned with the Arambam team. That has a very light take on a very serious issue that affects that village. Each one, I mean, each one is has a different facet to it.
You speak so many languages.
Occupational hazard. I think it's
So about political views, right, that you developed after. Do you think of LTT and its
what do I think of LTTE? What do I think of LTTE? It can. There are two sides to it. They killed the ex-prime minister of our country, which no country, no sovereign nation would allow it to go unpunished. They were fighting against atrocities committed on their own people by the Sinhalese government, the Sri Lankan government. And that is also the reality. They eliminated their rival groups. LTTE was one of the groups fighting for Tamil cause in Sri Lanka. They eliminated their political rivals. They also had Islamophobia. And these are all documented evidences. As there were definitely crimes committed by the ruling party in Sri Lanka, but there were definitely excesses by the LTT also. Since it's a very emotive issue, even today in Tamil Nadu, I mean, in my limited understanding and reading, this is what I see.
He's from Chennai.
Okay.
We have quite a mix here. From Karnataka, Chennai.
Oh, okay.
She's going to Bangalore. He's from Chennai, from Visakhapatnam.
Okay.
So you
So yeah, it's not a simple black and white matter. I mean, it's a very layered narrative, I suppose.
So you spoke about like your political perspective being broadening when you worked in theater and you worked in that circle.
That I need to have a political perspective was
the-
itself
the
shown over
awareness,
there.
yeah. So does that come into play to any extent when you're hearing story ideas, like when when you're being offered films? Does that play a very big role in your accepting an offer, or is it able to sort of disassociate with that?
To put things simply, I can't be branded as left leaning. No. that would just oversimplify things. Thing is, do I have a political outlook when reading
Yeah.
to know the impact of things, to not to always be politically correct, but a very casual passing statement could have deeper connotations elsewhere. For instance, in everyday speech, we use certain slurs, and these slurs vary from women's female organs to male organs to caste slurs to religious slurs. I think being political is about making choices. Do I choose to utter this, do this, choose to be a part of this? What is the narrative this cinema or this piece of art or whatever is trying to push? Is it trying to feed into a certain narrative? Or is it keeping options open? If I'm choosing to be a part of a narrative, why am I choosing to be a part of it? Is it enabling oppression, or is it helping people break out of it? Over time, over years, cinema, literature, music feed into our heads a certain way of thinking of what is right, what is wrong, what is acceptable, what is unacceptable, right from dietary choices to clothing choices to choice of vocabulary. So I think that it's to be conscious about what's happening around you and to not try and not make blind choices because everyone else is doing it or people around you are asking to do it. I try, sometimes I fail.
You don't have to name the films, but has there been an instance where you possibly rejected a film because it was going?
Yeah. I have. Because everyone has an agenda. What is that agenda and why that agenda is happening is the question.
You also said that compared to Tamil cinema, I think this landscape of indie cinema and Telugu industry is comparatively lesser. Do you see? Have you figured out any particular reasons why? Like there's
Figured
this.
out? No. I mean, these are conversations with friends I have. I think it starts with reading. How much importance does a language or a culture place on literary sources, on literature, on writers? And it starts from there is what I feel. And Kerala has one of the highest concentrations of readers and novels right now. Currently, Kannada definitely has. Kannada has the highest number of Jnanapith Award winners in the country. I think after Hindi, and not sure after Hindi or Kannada has the highest. I'm not sure. That is one. Tamil, and then literature followed by theatre and importance to folk forms. These two, it has not reached that limit yet in, not that it has reached in other states sufficiently, but the quantum is much lower in the Telugu lands right now. Things are picking up. Newer publishers are there. People are reading, but it has not reached that breakpoint yet, where it seeps more into music and literature, and it also goes into art funding. One of the richest people in the country live here, but the art funding is very, very low. And everything goes into cinema. At one point now, it's become sources, references for newer cinema or older cinemas. Only when I start bringing influences from other fields would this field grow. If my end and start point are here only, then it starts getting limited.
One last question.
Yes.
What would you suggest to aspiring actors who want?
Don't.
That was good.
We see so many, I mean, they want to do something and make short films. This, that. They are very intelligent.
Yeah.
And idealistic, a little bit. But what would you suggest to them?
See, I'm not much of a watcher. Do I have knowledge about world cinema, about indie movies, art house movies? Have I watched the greats? No. Have I read a lot? No. Do I do a lot? No. If I myself can survive, I'm sure a lot of people can thrive here. To be open to influences, to read more, to at one point it's just about getting down and doing, because no one is going to offer anything to you. There is no right moment. There is here and now. Pick up and do. Just start moving. It's like accretion. Like once you start moving, someone else follows, and then the momentum comes. And to be prepared for uncertainty, financially, creatively, in relationships, because you're constantly exploring, open to new ideas. You are on the edge sometimes, and to have an anchor, most importantly, in all of this.
Well, thank you so much, sir, for giving us your time. It was a great time knowing about you and understanding your philosophy about films. Thank you very much.
Thank you.